here talking. It don't be nothing to it. So
Let's
we
get it.
are officially live.
Hey y'all.
At least I think we live. Let me go ahead and check this here page of mine. I see us. So that
We
means
live, baby.
we is live. We for the lively live. So we gonna give folks an opportunity to jump on in here with us.
Come
Um,
on
before we
in the room.
get to talking. Um, and I'm excited. I'm like really, really, really excited.
Cause our special guest
I
today,
know,
the beautiful, the talented, the
no, right,
legendary.
no, right, yeah, no, right, yeah.
And the crowd goes wild.
I annoy her as you can see, but I don't care.
That's all right.
I don't care.
You gonna get all this love.
All the love, all the love, all the love, all the love.
Get
So
all
we
this
are
love.
officially live. I'm just waiting to see if it's showing that we are live. You know, sometimes people may not realize that we out here live. I meant to post again today to remind folks that we was going live today, and I don't know if there's anything special happening tonight on Wednesdays. You know, the it'd be like the different award shows and whatnot.
I
Like,
think they done with those. Ain't that how many awards they got?
beat the hell out of me. I have no idea. See,
Girl, I don't be watching none of them shows.
me, you know what? I
I
might
catch
catch
the
the
Spark
people in.
Notes version on Instagram and Facebook.
You get the Cliff Note version.
Right. And what
I
happened?
don't
That's
really
crazy.
watch them. I don't watch them either. I may watch them from time to time or catch like pieces of them, but I don't really watch them like that. I don't think I ever really was like real big on those shows, but it is what it is. So I'm just waiting to see if folks are gonna join us before we get to getting started and before we talk. Cause we gonna talk.
Because, we going to talk.
We gonna talk.
Can I make a note, though, while we're here and we're waiting for the people to come in? Can I make a note?
Make a notity
I'm
note.
going to make a
What you got?
note. Note it. Bruh. Are those locks coming through over there? Yes. Yes.
Frizzy right now.
But I keep trying to tell her that they
I
get
love it.
frizzy.
I know,
That's
but they're
just
nightmarishly frizzy, and some of them are like, some of them in the middle are just like a ball of frizz.
they
Oh,
look
bro,
very
you
cute.
gotta know that locks are gonna do whatever they want to do. Whatever
Facts.
your hair texture was before, they gonna switch. Girl, you talking about frizzy? You can see my frizz on camera. You see that?
It's just what it is.
They do what they do,
And
and it's all right.
the person that does her locks, shout out to Erica, who does her locks, tells her that they're gonna get frizzy because the type of grade of hair she has. So it's just
That face.
it just comes with the territory. She is not look, that child be in here like, okay, they're frizzy today. What are you gonna do? And I'm
You know
like,
what are you gonna do?
that's just kind of like the
Girl, you
territory,
gotta
baby.
let it locks. What locks is gonna
Help.
do is teach you that it's some things you don't have control over.
But I keep telling her that they're cute, that they look really cute.
They are really cute though.
And she rocks them really well. You know, this is my hair adventure baby because she is very adventurous with her hair. There is no way I would have had the bravery to cut off all my hair and wear like a fade pretty much like she did. She had like a box, but she had the curly box. And I was like, at 13,
Right.
no way
Go
I would
crazy, girl.
I could not have had the bravery to do that, but she did. So she rocks her
She said, "I do
hairstyles
what I
well.
want."
She do her thing. She do her thing. I be trying to tell her. But let's go ahead and talk a little bit, and then hopefully what we'll do is start getting people joining us in the room. And hopping on this conversation. And then even if they come in late or they watch it later, I think this is going to be a really important show for parents. I'm so excited because our we gonna talk to guests this evening is Naraya Tay.
Mariah. Thank you for being with us today.
I'm so my baby. Y'all probably already feel like y'all know Naraya because I'm always talking about her. She treats my life a lot, but it's okay. You know, she be getting me right together.
Naraya, bro, we done heard some stories about you treating your mama.
What do you
They
mean?
were funny though. I'm not gonna
What do you
lie,
mean
just because.
treating? What do you do?
Like put me in my place, checking me sometimes, like the whole tequila thing, you know, just different stuff. You know, the other day I was like, I'm hood. I'm from the hood, girl. She was like, the only thing hood about you is the one on your back. I was like,
Mm,
she wanna fight.
she got no chill.
She wanna fight me. I felt like she was coming for me, but that is
Look, she
okay.
say she just keep it 100.
But I love that about her, and that's one of the reasons why we have this show today. So, all we gonna talk tonight is all about teens and how important it is for teens to have support from their parents, and why we need to break the generational curse of not communicating with our kids, because it really is something that they want to have, and they need. And we had the most amazing conversation. So the whole reason that we have this topic today, because I actually had a whole different topic in mind, but last week her and I were sitting on the couch and we were having a really good discussion, just a deep talk about a lot of stuff. And you know, every parent wants to hear from their children that they're doing it right, that they're doing a good job, and that they're appreciated. And some of us don't hear, some parents may not hear it until their kids are adults. But I had the joy of hearing it in this conversation where it was just a really validating conversation where she kind of told me she thinks I'm doing it right. I'm a great mom. I'm not failing them, because every parent has that time where they like, I'm failing. I'm failing today.
I
I'm
am
not
sucking hard right now.
Oh my gosh. Like you be like, I am failing, I'm not getting it right. And so to have your children tell you, no, you are, it really means a lot. And so she expressed to me that one of her things that she was most appreciative about our relationship was what? Do you want to share with the audience what you said you were very appreciative about our relationship?
I think it's because I'm able to tell you certain things. I think that's what it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that she's able to talk to me and tell me all different types of stuff, um, anything. So I allow for either of them to tell me anything, even if it's something hard that I may need to go and process later. I make myself available for them to tell me anything. And this was very important to me as a parent, because there were a lot of things growing up I really wish I could have talked to my mom about, and I didn't feel safe emotionally to talk to my mom about it, whether it was I thought she was going to be super upset or disappointed, or not even angry, just I didn't know if I would be judged or what her reaction would be. And so I kept a lot of things that I was going through inside. And I don't know what I or where we would be if you didn't feel comfortable talking to me, because some years back she came and talked to me about something really deeply personal, and I couldn't be more grateful because it was life changing for us, right? And I just want to encourage parents to do the same thing. So we're going to hear from a teen today, a whole
And can I
teenager.
cut in also? Not
Yes, go
just
ahead.
for parents, but for the village. I
For the
think it's really important to have a village. And Raya, you let me know if you think this is true as well. But there's some things that even if you have the coolest parents in the world, sometimes you want to talk to an auntie or uncle or
Yes.
and to have that village where even if you're not there, they have someone that they can come to, that they can confide in, and that will give them real information. And I say that because I just had a moment with my niece and nephew the other day, and I hadn't seen them in so long, especially in the summer times before COVID. They lived over in my house, so like we had a guest room. They would live in the guest room all summer before they went back to school. So I'm
Mhm.
used to seeing them and being around them and having family time, and so I hadn't seen them and like sat down and really talked to them in so long. So to go and give both of them time And it was interesting for me too, because y'all know I'm always working, got a cell phone in my hand or something. But my phone was dead from the time I got there. I never put it on charge. It was just elsewhere. I'm in there eating chips and we just chopping it up, where she could just vent to me about all the stuff that was going on at school and stuff that I had no idea about. And then after that, my nephew chopped in like, well, this happened. And he started telling me about his life and his friends and what's going on with him. And he's 10. And so it's really important that they have someone that they can talk to. It is not just the parents' responsibility.
Not
It's,
at
it's
all.
really the whole village.
It is, but I bring up parents specifically. Here is why. I think that even when you have aunties and stuff, ultimately, aunts, unless they are the primary caregiver of those children, they don't make a lot of decisions for that child,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
That's true.
so the importance of having a relationship and open communication with your child is because even as parents, we have to make informed decisions for with our children. And I think a lot of parents is like, I know what's best for you, you're gonna do what I said and that's it. But I don't operate like that. And the reason I don't operate that way is because I may think it's best for her, but sometimes we're not realizing that we're vicariously living through our children and we're
Mm-hmm.
trying to get them to do the things that we maybe wanted to do or would have been best for us. That's not always, but sometimes it's a real thing. So I think that having an open line with the parent and the child or the caregiver, not everybody's caregiver is mom and dad. Sometimes it is aunt or uncle or grandma and granddad,
Mm-hmm.
godparents even. I just want to make sure that we're facilitating communication with within the generations and that we're keeping connected and that we're being open. So I'm going to try to let Naraya do a lot of the talking today, even though she's a little nervous, y'all.
She
She's
got
nervous.
this. She got surprise you, girl.
She got this. I keep trying to tell her. So there were some things specifically that we talked about that you felt like were really important for parents to know about their teens. And one of the things you brought up was that teenagers are going through a lot.
Yes.
They're experiencing a lot. Tell us more.
Okay, so when I said that teens go through a lot, I think it's because, when we grow up, we get more access to the internet. I think that's one big thing. And being 15 years old, I should not be worrying about things like politics and things that I should not be worrying about when I'm still technically a kid. Yet here I am, not getting good sleep every night because I'm worrying about everybody else, and then I'm missing out on what could be possibly making me feel better. But then I'm worrying about what's happening in this country, what's happening in this country, and I'm worrying about everybody ruining a community or a certain kind of fandom or something because I would see these things online and I'll be so upset because these fandoms or communities do not it should not be toxic places at all, but there's one person or group of people that ruin it for everybody. So
Mm.
I'm always worried about other people because I have that access to see what other people are doing that makes them mess up. And when I see that stuff, I'm not the only one who's seeing that at my age. There are kids even younger than me that are worrying about everybody because they're ruining the community, or maybe their interest is different than somebody else, or their interest is they're taking it too far and they turn it into something toxic or not healthy for the community. So
Mhm.
it really hurts when I see a community that is really suffering because of a person or group of people. And even if I'm not in that community, it still makes it very stressful to know that these people are acting out like this.
Mm. And I think that's important because adults worry about that same stuff too.
Absolutely.
We're seeing and we have overwhelmed sometimes too. And what's happening in the world. Like I know
Mm-hmm.
there are days, especially because I'm empathic, where I have to shut it all off because if I don't, I'm overwhelmed. I'm emotionally overwhelmed. And I don't think that we think about it a lot when it comes to our kids, that if it's hard for us to be looking at this and experiencing this, how hard is it for them to experience
Mm-hmm.
that? Because
Oh,
go
sorry.
ahead.
Oh, that brings up another point that I really want to understand. It gets on my nerves when an adult says, "You're too young to have stress."
Mm,
I
Speak
freaking
on it.
do that. I
mm,
hate it so much because mommy has told me, and I also believe this very much. A kid's stress can be sometimes worse than an adult's because we're just kids. We're not adults yet. We're still trying to navigate through our lives. Just because we're not going to work, just because we're not raising a family, does not mean we don't have stress.
Mm.
Going to school can be just as stressful as going to work.
Mm-hmm.
And just because we're not raising a family doesn't mean we aren't raising ourselves.
Mm. Now, for those of you,
Tambourine.
but see, for those of you who
Where my
read
tambourine?
my statuses all the time, this is
Come on here, girl. You better speak on that.
this is what I have at home every day. So when y'all read these stories, they are facts. I am so not lying. I'm not making it up. I am here with a whole young lady.
She over there prophesying. You better
I
say that,
mean,
sis.
and it makes me proud. And these are the
And it
conversations that
should.
we get to have. And this is much the conversation that we had the other day, which sparked this topic. And I said, I think there are a lot of adults that need to hear from a kid's perspective because a lot of kids can't tell their parents in that
They
way.
don't feel
And they
comfortable.
don't feel comfortable.
I need you to put this last comment on the
I
screen. She
don't,
said, "Get us together, baby. Get us right together."
it's
Okay.
important. And
She said what she said.
when you're doing that to kids, what we call that is adultism. And adultism is just another form of oppression. Like kids are going through so much. And the reason why it's even more frightening and we're seeing a rise in suicide rates in children is because you have to understand that as an adult, you have had emotional intelligence practice, you've had coping practice, you have learned. And then some of us as adults
Or
are still
not.
struggling with that.
Right. I was like, or you didn't.
Or you
Let's be
didn't.
honest.
Can I add something?
You sure can. It's your show. We just guessed. Go ahead.
Oh my god.
Right. Your
Okay,
world, we just living in it, sis.
Look.
I also, something that I think a lot of kids would agree with this kind of thing is that I really don't understand why adults think that kids are just these robots and we only like develop emotions and stress when we get into adulthood, when that's not true. We develop stress whenever something can trigger us,
Mm,
something can traumatize us, or cause us some kind of distress that we shouldn't be feeling at a young age.
mm.
So it really becomes a real big problem because adults keep on downplaying a kid's stress because they think we're just kids and just because we got into this world, we don't have stress. I'm pretty sure getting into the world and seeing all of this happening is a huge reason for stress because we want to live a good life, a long, happy life. Yet, however, we're seeing all this happening around us just as kids. So I don't understand why adults think we don't have stress because we definitely do. And as a teenager, I should not be going through all this kind of stuff when I'm not even 16 yet. I shouldn't be worrying about this kind of stuff and I'm not even 16.
This is true.
Like it was definitely scary to hear about all the things I developed when I was not even a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
Going through grief at so young
Mm.
was tough, especially because what kid will want to have to hear about somebody that they barely even remember anymore passing away, or someone that they idolize a lot passing away? So we definitely have stress, and I don't think many adults talk about this a lot, or kids are too scared to talk about it because then they'll get downplayed.
Yeah. Can you talk with them? Because in our family, we have definitely had some times where we've lost a lot of people. We've lost a lot of family members, and it has been a struggle for us to cope. It's been a struggle for me to cope as an adult, and they as children have had to go through each and every last one of those losses. And I think sometimes we underestimate the fact that someone, so we hold on one second, we got a very inappropriate person.
No
And
worries. While you handle that, I want to say something.
go ahead.
One thing that you said that was really, really important to me, is that adults don't see young people's stress. Like you said, it just magically is not there until you hit a certain age of adulthood and then you get stressed. One thing that I think is important for us as adults to remember is our stressors when we were your age. We were stressed out about different things as well. And we can't magically forget that those things existed now that we're adults. We have to put ourselves in your shoes. But then, like you started off saying, you guys have new issues that we didn't even have to deal with. We didn't have internet readily available on our phones 24 hours a day, social media, all of these other things. We didn't have that growing up. So that's a whole added stressor that we have to tack in on top of our regular stress that we had when we were kids. You guys have access to so much more that you have to process. So I
Yeah.
also think really understanding you all, and coming to you at a level where you can feel comfortable talking to us and sharing how you feel, and then we can talk through those emotions. I think as parents, that's one thing. When I know my son is not a teenager, he is 4 years old, but I talk him through his emotions, and so now he talks through his emotions. And so he was talking to my nephew who's now 21. And I came home from work one day and he went, "Hey," and I'm like, "Yeah." He said, "Me and Jaleel had a conversation today." And I was like, "Oh, that's awesome. That wasn't foreign to me." And he was like, he was telling me about how he feel. And I said, that's what we do. We talk about our feelings. And he was so shocked. And he said, no, he like stopped me and he broke it down. So and so said this, so I felt like this, and he broke. And I said, because that's what we do, because that's important. We have to be able to understand that you all are in a whole new time frame with whole new issues, whole new dramas, and it has to have a whole new understanding. So we have to meet you in that place and be able to walk you through it and talk you through it, and not just ignore it altogether and say you don't have the stress or the drama. We have to meet you there and listen when you say that you have these issues, and be able to try our best, because sometimes we can't, but we can try our best to walk you through it and talk you through what you're experiencing.
What I recommend is that, even as a parent, I'm not always perfect in my communication either. So sometimes I may, be triggered by something that happens. I am learning, especially that when I'm upset, whatever issues there are, I need to put a pause on it. So there are times where, um, she's expressing something to me. It may be hard for me to hear it in that moment. And I have to say, okay, let me take a moment, and I go and collect myself. And then I'm coming
Mhm.
back and I'm actively listening. Actively listening to your teens, to your children is super important. You
Yes.
as an adult don't have to always respond. You don't have to always, give a food for thought. Sometimes you just need to listen. I just
Mhm.
let her vent sometimes. Sometimes just say what she's feeling. I'll validate and say, I understand that, or I'll work on that. But I let her get it out. And then in the process, I'm learning more about her. I'm learning more about who she is as a person, because this is a whole person. It's not just because they're kids. I think sometimes we teach kids or treat kids like robots, right? That's what you said. But no, this is a whole human being. Kids
Yep.
are just smaller, younger humans. That's it. But they are
But they
human
come
beings.
with their own
They
feelings,
come with their
their
own
own thought
feelings,
processes.
perspectives,
Mhm.
emotions. And I don't want to shut that down. Like, I want her to talk to me because I'm her best source of information. I'm her best source of support. And we have some conversations. There be times in here where I'd be like, okay, I wasn't ready to have that conversation today, but we're here, so let's do it.
Let's talk about it.
And if it's something that she is worried about, we do what? What do we use when it's something where you're not sure how I'm gonna
Bubble
react? Yeah. So we have something called bubble time. The bubble is, you can say anything you want in the bubble, anything you need to say. There are no consequences, no anger, no judgment, nothing. It's just a complete and utter safe space to talk, to ask questions. When I hear bubble, then I know that she has to tell me something where it is my role to actively listen. And then I say, okay, we're in the bubble. Let me hear it. And I make sure that I take that to heart. What I love is that neither of these kids have abused the bubble. And I love that because they know how sacred it is and how important it is. They only use it when necessary. And I really encourage that parents also have a point where, or a place to have that active listening too, and just allow your kids to say what they're feeling, because they
Yeah.
feeling a lot. One of the things that she was telling me about earlier today, about that you wanted to bring up today, when it comes to parents and being supportive of kids, is just allowing them to speak their mind, right? And just saying more to their parents. What's your thoughts?
Um, Well, I think there are many questions. Like you said that you didn't really were able to say certain things to your mom or say or ask certain questions, and you're not the only one.
Mhm.
But however, in many relationships, it is not just the parent that's failing with their kid. Sometimes it's the kid failing with their parent. Their parent will want to have a good relationship with them, but they don't think it's cool or they just don't want to.
Mm. Come on.
I mean, I'm
Come
very
on.
proud, y'all. So y'all may have to give me a moment because this,
Take it
you
in,
know,
sis. Take it in.
this, and I'm sharing my baby with you all, because she's just so intelligent and she's so emotionally intelligent, and I'm so proud
And
of that
articulate.
and articulate
That's
because
another thing that I want to mention.
go ahead, this your show. We just guessed. Go ahead.
So, a lot of not just teenagers, not just kids, but anybody, a lot of people lack emotional intelligence, and it can hurt people who are emotionally intelligent because then they won't know what to do. This gets on my nerves, especially when I get into an argument with people online or people get on arguments with other people online that don't, even if they're not arguing with me, I still notice that they are not emotionally intelligent and they use a lot of very insensitive things to attack on people, like
Mm,
personal things that are not at all corresponding with the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Is maybe even calling people gay. And I understand some people might find it funny, but in some cases, there is a line that you should not cross. There's always a line with certain things that if you cross it, then you're going way too far, and people can notice that. And
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to insults, there is a huge line. Sometimes being toxic can be funny, as long as is the person who's saying it isn't actually hurting your feelings. But if somebody is hurting your feelings when they are being toxic, they've crossed that line.
mm,
But many people like me, they're very, very afraid to tell those people, especially if they've been nice to them in the past.
mm,
I am afraid of hurting people's feelings so much to the point where I hurt my own feelings in the
Mm-hmm.
process. So somebody could be saying horrible things to me and think it's funny. And I won't, but I will be afraid to tell them that because I'll be afraid of hurting their feelings, making them mad at me again, and just going backwards into the relationship we were in before.
mm.
So I'm pretty sure a lot of kids, not just kids, anybody can have this problem because again,
Yeah.
a lot of these problems are not just adult problems, but kid problems, teenager problems, whatever it is. It doesn't matter what age you are. If a problem exists, it needs to be addressed by somebody because
Come
there's
on.
many people who have that exact same problem.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Well,
And like you said, that is an everybody problem because
mhm,
most of the issues that we have start as children and as teenagers, and they, if not treated or handled properly or healed through, they become greater issues as adults or the same issues as adults. So like you said, they need to be handled, and they need to be handled immediately. And
and
baby, you are not the only one
sensitively,
with that problem, because
they
there's a
need
lot
to
of
be.
us out here that got that.
There's adults still struggling with that, and
Yes.
then to your point, there needs to be some sensitivity and care in how it's handled, and not just this, do it my way or my way only. One of the things that we also talked a lot about is that Naraya suffers with anxiety, and so she talks a lot about anxiety and how there are tons of teens going through it and may not even recognize that they're going through anxiety, or their parents may not recognize that they're going through anxiety. Do you want to talk to our audience about the importance of mental health?
Yes.
Go
So
ahead.
as you said before, suicide rates are rising in many kids nowadays because people will not understand that they are going through something, and they'll only recognize it when it's gone to a point where it's almost irreversible or it's too late.
Mm,
And it's not good for somebody to recognize it only when either of those times. Someone needs to recognize it before it gets out of hand because it can become something that they'll never be able to heal from or cope with.
mhm,
And it's really sad because, again, adults downplay a kid's stress to the point where they think that, oh, you're too young because you don't work a job. Okay. You don't have a family to raise. Okay. You don't have to pay rent. Okay. Okay. That's your problem.
Right.
You're considering my
And
problems.
they're
I
different.
don't care about what you're going through. Well, I do care about it. I
I
do
was to
care
say,
about
wait
it.
a minute.
I
What
do.
about my joking?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't care if you're gonna be mean and inconsiderate
It-
about
Right.
and we talk about that with adults too, especially when we're saying in relationships, it's like, oh, my problem is greater than
What
your
be your
problem.
problem?
Instead of just hearing people for where they're coming from. It's not a competition. It's not who's the most stressed out. It's just let me hear you and see what I can do to help, and let you hear me.
I saw a post a few days ago, and I absolutely love this post, and it was spot on perfect. And the young lady in the post was also getting some adults in the room together, where she was saying that kids are made to feel like little burdens. That
Mm-hmm.
parents are making kids feel like because they brought them here, they have or should have all this autonomy over every single thing, and how little it makes them feel, and how small they feel inside, and how they close off and internalize that, because what person wants to be a burden to anybody unless
Right.
that's their goal? You have some people that look to, use and take advantage of, but kids don't, ask to be here. When we decide to be parents, it's a choice that we made. Those babies don't have a choice in the matter at all.
Also, that brings up to another huge problem that
Go
literally
ahead.
everybody knows now. Everything that happened with Roe v. Wade,
Mm,
that's also been bothering me too, especially as a girl. Thankfully, Illinois is safe, but not every state is.
Right.
I'm really annoyed with people who say that they're pro-life. If you were pro-life, you're considering everybody in the situation, but you're only considering an innocent human life when you don't even know what that person's going to grow up into. Now, I'm not saying that every unborn baby is going to be a bad person, but however, you're not considering what happened before the birth. You're not.
that's so. Let me see if I could just kind of sum that up for everybody. So what you're saying is that a lot of people who are pro life don't consider what type of life that child is going to have once they're out, and who they're going to develop into as an adult.
And not just that, you're not considering the life of the person who's carrying said child.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are some people who are getting pregnant that are little kids and they're pushing out a baby that's more than almost half the size of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said that you got pregnant when you were not ready.
Mm-hmm.
And there are many kids who are getting pregnant when they're 10 years old. And then these people are not considering that they're too young for this.
Mm-hmm.
And they might not even want to have kids in the get go. I don't really want to have birth at all.
Give birth. I
Like she's like, I don't have a problem with the kids. It's the birth part. That's it.
because she says that she may want to adopt someday, but when you bring up birthing a whole human, she's like, yeah, that's not for me. I just can't. That's not my ministry. I don't know. I don't have a tolerance for pain. That's my limit. But I also tell her that that may change. She may get older and decide that she has changed her mind, and so she's still like, nah, nah. But we don't have to address that because that's in the far, 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 far future anyway. And so that's
But the point you're making is profound, really,
it is. It
because a
absolutely
lot of the
is.
times the people who are saying these things are not there. The main point that I hear is, oh, if you don't want a baby, don't lay down and do what it takes to make a baby.
Mm,
But here's the thing.
But the thing is that a lot of people didn't choose to lay down and make a baby. Some people are taken advantage of.
Yes.
There's different situations at play. Some people physically can't give birth because it'll kill them for
yeah.
different health reasons, or some people can't carry even the baby, not even the giving birth part, carrying the baby because it'll kill or hurt them. And so they're not thinking about the different situations. So I totally understand what you're saying. Me personally, um excluding those circumstances, I feel like, yeah, if you make a baby, if you're doing what it takes and you understand, then you should do what you need to do. But in all those other situations, absolutely, you can't make that choice for those people, and
And
for
I think
anyone really.
that is what is the most scariest part for me, is that you can't make that decision for my body. My
Right.
two pregnancies were tough, very tough. This was actually meant to be a twin. I had my youngest a whole month and a week early. So pregnancies, are very stressful for my body, and so I have anemia, so there's all these concerns about that, and there's a lot of things that go into that. And I think the problem of it is that no one is focusing on is that no one can make that choice for me.
Right.
And
It's your
why that's
body.
important is because we want to teach our children bodily autonomy because
Mm-hmm.
their bodies belong to them, and that's how they keep themselves safe. And so I really do think that although it's very stressful for teens and young adults to hear about Roe v. Wade, I do want them to recognize that no matter what, it is still their bodies, and nobody has the right to hurt or tell them what to do with their bodies. There are a couple more things I want to bring up because we have an hour. We're just getting a whole. I mean, you just dropping them jewels
Girl,
here.
gems,
I
hot
mean,
fire,
I told her when she was a little
hot
nervous to come
fire.
on today, I said, baby, it's an hour, but it don't feel like an hour. And we're already rounding into the 40-minute mark soon. And so I'm like, it goes really quick once you get to talking. So I want to make sure that we're hitting some of the other important points. Now, as a teenager, and it's okay to talk about some parts of this, I don't want you to get too personal. I think it's important that we understand how important it is to be talking to our own children and our own teenagers about sexual education.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Do you feel that that is important, and how much has it been impactful for you being able to talk to me?
I think it's very important for kids to be able to talk about this stuff because a lot of kids don't really wait. And again, we can't really tell them what to do because that's what they want to do. But I really think they should know how to be safe, what happens during, and what kind of person they're doing it with.
Yeah.
But many kids don't, either they don't talk to their parents about it or they don't want them to talk to their parents about it. So, sexual education for teenagers, especially now, is very, very important because they're kids getting things that they can't get rid of, even with treatment.
Hmm. How important was it to be able to have those conversations with us?
Very, very, very important, seeing as every kid is going to get to a point in their life when they're going to want to have sex. Not every kid, but most of them are. And if they don't know what to expect, they're going to probably get into a situation where they wish they never got into.
Mm-hmm.
And that's important, right? For them to be able to know what to look for. I'm very proud because I don't push a whole lot. I just do a lot of talking. And I asked her about her views on, because to her point, a lot of teens and kids do not wait. And so I wanted to know how she would feel. She would know if she was ready and what she would do if she thought she was. And do you want to tell them what you told me? They what you look for to know if you're ready, or what teens should look for?
Well, I think somebody who understands them, that they're not just some random person that they found hot or something, actually somebody that they're attracted to. Because as you said, you're once you have sex, you're connected to that person spiritually.
Come on.
And I don't want to do it with somebody that I barely even know. If I'm going to have sex with somebody, I want my first time to be with somebody that understands me. Both of us feel safe. We've talked about it before, understood how to be safe during or after, whatever. I want both of us to be in a safe space before anything like that happens.
And what was part of the thing? And when she told me that this was going to be one of her first questions, I literally got emotional and cried. What did you say your first question or request of that person would be? Is to go do what?
Both of us get tested.
Absolutely.
And
And
I
I
was
think
like,
that's profound because adults have a hard time stopping situations and be like, hold up, you got papers? Or, or let's make this trip and get tested. And it's so important because you don't know what's out here. You
yeah.
don't. And so it's so
Mhm.
important with you being as young as you are, knowing how important that is. And to be able to have that conversation with your partner is so important for all ages. So, girl, you ahead of the game.
She's listening, and I'm proud because I do a lot of talking. Like we do a lot of talking, and it just like makes my heart smile that it's absorbing. Both my kids are absorbing everything that they're being told, and they get it. And I don't push, although I would love for her to wait until marriage and she finds that right person. I don't push abstinence as the only measure because I know I didn't wait. But to hear her say that, she's going to be waiting a long time, because it's going to take a while for that person to exhibit what she needs. I said, okay, and so
You in the know, sis. You in the know.
that look, and so
That's it.
that made me very, very, very proud. I am so excited to share this important information with our listeners and our watchers, our viewers. But I just got a couple more questions. How you doing so far? You doing okay? Because I know she was like super nervous. She's like, should I write?
I don't know if you heard her speak today. I don't think she nervous no more.
And I told her, I said, we're just gonna have a conversation. We're just gonna talk, and it's not gonna feel like a test. It's not gonna feel like as stressful as you think. It's fun and it goes a long way. And I just really had so much trust and faith that you are going to share things with everybody that adults really need to hear, because our kids really need us. They really, really, really need us. They need their village. They need their parents. They need support. And so this is why. This is the result. When we talk about what's going on with our teens, what's going on with our youth, just think about how many kids didn't have a place to talk to somebody, or was struggling through something, or was experiencing a level of stress they didn't know how to cope with. And so this is why it's important. And if you love on our children in this way, we can turn it around. We can, get them to the place. We can break that generational curse. And that is what my biggest goal was as a mom, was to do better for them. And I'm confident that they're going to do better for their children, whether they're adopted or birth. It's okay. Okay. If you so decide.
Also, can I say something?
You can.
So I think another thing that adults aren't considering is, what kind of world are we leaving our children with?
That was going to be my next question. Go ahead.
We're leaving our girl. So many adults are polluting our world with trash, horrible stereotypes, horrible communities that used to be safe communities and now they're not. And this overturning of Roe v. Wade is also another thing too, because we're going to grow up with a generation of kids that are not going to feel safe in certain places anymore. Like land of the free isn't really that free anymore, is it? It's like we like so many basic needs nowadays are super expensive and they shouldn't be.
Never really have been.
Go ahead. Keep going. I'm just
amen. And we just amen.
I'm just so often Natalie gets a whole tambourine and
right. It ain't close to me. If it was close, I done shook it a couple times.
Mommy still gotta order her triangle so we can have a whole band in here for when we feeling the vibe. But carry on, my love. You're saying stuff. You dropping knowledge.
Wow. Speak to him.
So, when it comes to leaving our kids in a good world, I don't think parents or adults really understand what that looks like. Like, what does a safe place look like for a kid? And that doesn't just mean a safe place at home. It means in the world as a whole. Now, understandable, the world isn't going to be 100% all the time, but it still should at least be decent, because no kid wants to grow up in a world where they don't feel safe to make a choice that might either save their life, benefit their life, or benefit the lives of the people that they love and care about. And this overturning of Roe v. Wade definitely was one of those things that people didn't understand. Like, it's not enough for people to think that, oh, well, we need more babies in the United States. Okay, but does it really matter if those babies are coming from parents that didn't want them? Because we're like, you wore a shirt one day that said, what are our kids bringing to school with them? And it doesn't matter where they're going. What are they bringing with them in their minds? And what kid wants to grow up as a living, walking example that their mother got raped, essayed, or taken advantage of? No kid wants to grow up remembering that, or, knowing that was in their mom's history and that's where they came from. Nobody wants to grow up like that. I definitely wouldn't want to grow up like that, knowing that that's where I came from. I would feel horrible. and I'm pretty sure that's also going to lead to suicide too.
Mhm.
Like the people in Supreme Court thinking they're all high and mighty just because they're
Come on.
so high in politics and that they can make so many big choices for the country, but they're not considering people. They're considering themselves. They think they're saving so many lives. Pro lifers are saving so many lives. You're not pro life. You're pro birth.
Mm.
You're not considering the lives of women that are going to be impacted by the choice you made. The lives of children, the lives of men who care about these women.
Yeah.
You gotta speak on it.
I mean,
She said you ain't pro life.
you pro birth. She said it.
What is my tambourine?
She said it. We
A lot
have
of
a
people
hold
say
on. So we have a question
Oh,
in the
yeah.
comments from Uncle Gino. Hey, Uncle
Hey,
Gino.
Gino.
He says, here's a question. Do you think parents feel the same way about their boys concerning sex? And I would hope so. The exact same things that we talk to our oldest. So she is our oldest. We talk to our youngest, who is 12, who'll be 12 in just a few weeks. We talk to him about the same exact stuff.
And
So
this was our
everything,
last conversation. This was the
yeah,
last one.
everything that she said, we talk about that all the time. And one of the things that I love is that, especially in the last couple of years with being remote, the children have had an opportunity to see me work. And my work is by talking to kids about child sexual abuse prevention and bodily autonomy. My son at 12 can come in here and give you a talk about consent and how important it is as a boy, when he gets older, to look for consent, and that consent is also for him too, and not just the other way. And so these both of these kids are constantly getting talks from us. And they also hear what we do and what we talk. We try and lead by example, and it's sticking. And I'm so proud. Like, I'm so proud with this baby today. And this is my first baby, and I grew up a lot with this baby. And so I had to do a lot of learning about me. I had to do a lot of recognition of my traumas within
I
me.
agree with that statement.
So I had to, somebody said, take this baby to the
Right.
doctor here.
I agree with that statement.
I'll
Just
be
so
the
we
all
we're
facts.
clear. She's gonna
Um,
be a lobbyist. We gonna get them. I
go
mean,
ahead. She said she got some more to say. Go ahead,
So
baby.
I'm
It's
gonna,
your show.
so I'm gonna add one thing before I go on to another topic.
Okay.
So something that also needs to be considered with consent is a safe word, like a
Mm.
word that they should say if they don't feel safe. Like if one person is not feeling comfortable, or they're maybe being too rough about it, they can say the word or a phrase, and they can stop.
Mm. Mm.
mhm.
And it doesn't just have to consider sex. We have a safe word if we're having a conversation that's getting a little too out of hand.
Well, what's our safe word?
Blanket.
So we come up with lots of different communication tools, for all of us, because I'm a human being too, and I'm still learning as a human being and as a parent to be better at communication as a mother. And so both kids have their own personal safe words that if I'm talking to them about something, or I'm pushing them, or if I've said something that makes them feel uncomfortable, or it hit them and I didn't recognize that it hurt them when I said it, her safe word is blanket. So that means, like, I need to feel safe, like security blanket, like, okay, mommy, blanket. And so she can say it. And then that's my word to stop and to listen
Mhm.
and to be mindful and to ask her, what did I say, how I misstepped, and to learn from myself. And I think that in
That's
doing that,
powerful.
it's
That's
important
powerful.
that to have effective communication. We have to be emotionally intelligent as adults if we want our children to be emotionally intelligent. And I'm not perfect. I'm trying my best, but I'm not a perfect mom. I mess up, and I need to give her the space to tell me that, in a way where, it's respectful, and she's very respectful. Even when she getting me together, she's respectful.
By the way, somebody also asked a question right
Yeah,
there.
let me see. I was gonna get to that question. Um, it said, but do you think people feel the same way about their sons having sex as you do their daughters? Think about what you've heard over the years, and absolutely not. I don't
No.
think that the messages are the same.
And this was the last episode of Oh We Gonna Talk. We talked thoroughly about our boys and how we need to protect our boys and how we educate our boys and the mindsets. We really protect our girls as far as teaching them certain things, sheltering them from certain things. But when it comes to our boys, it's kind of like we allow too much. It's kind of like
Mm-hmm.
rites of passages to do really ridiculous things. We talked about that as well. So I don't think most people feel the same way about boys as they do with girls when it comes to sex. But I think they should,
It's a
because
generational curse. It's a
yeah, it's a
generational
generational
curse.
curse.
Mm-hmm.
Just
And
like you say, you talk to your son about consent, and it's not just towards the young lady. He needs consent from her, but she needs consent from him, or whoever else
absolutely.
needs consent from him. And that's the thing we have to tell our sons, that their bodies are important, so that our sons feel the same way. Like, I don't want no soul ties with these crazy women. You know what I'm saying? They being more mindful
And I
about who
really
they
think
sending
that's
themselves
the
with.
tool, sis. I talked to both of the kids because this was information that I didn't get as a teen. My mom was very hyper focused on premature pregnancy. She just did not want me to be a teen mom, and that was it. But I wasn't talked to about the emotional ties that happen when you are sexually active. I wasn't talked to about the emotions about self, like the self worth and the images that you have about women who are too loose or, is being intimate with somebody. I didn't have a lot of those conversations. And so as an adult, it was really important for the kids to not just think about sex as just you're immature and you're not ready for that, but explain to them why. Why wasn't I ready? And a big reason I wasn't ready is because I didn't have the emotional intelligence to process the act and after the fact. And so what I focus on when I talk to either of them about sex, like I said, I do not want them to be doing it. I'm not in any way condoning it, but I recognize that kids don't always wait and teenagers don't always wait. So I don't talk about abstinence because just telling them that abstinence is the only way isn't going to really prepare them if it isn't the way that they choose or the way that they go. So I talk to them both about the emotions behind it. What does it mean to be intimate with somebody? Why is it so important to be intimate? What are the repercussions from it? What are the benefits from it? Because we talk about the benefits too, because sometimes, we don't tell them it may feel good and it's easy for you to get wrapped up in that and forget that this person isn't healthy for you or this situation isn't healthy for you. It blinds you sometimes because it does give you a certain feeling. And so we talk about all of that. We talked about how it can make you feel good. And sometimes that's not always good,
Right.
depending on who that is that's making you feel good. So it is a generational curse that we don't talk to our children the same way. No matter what their gender identities are, we need to be expressing to them what it means to be intimate with a person and not just sex, but intimacy and
Mm-hmm.
really giving them the breakdown of how that looks and what that means. And so we do a lot of talking about that. And that's a generational curse I do hope that we will work on as a community and recognizing that by not telling our boys and treating our boys the same way when it comes to sex, we are essentially setting them up to be victims themselves and to lose self-value and self-worth and to not know how to look for self-value in others either in people that they're dealing with because they begin to put a lot of emphasis on sex. So that was a really really good question, Gino. I know you said you had one more point that you wanted to go to before we end our show because we are rounding the hour and we're going to let you head out because you have done absolutely phenomenal today. And I am so proud of you today. And you've had a lot of your village on this call today that has seen you speaking, and there'll be more people that will see you speak. So they are very proud of you today. What
Absolutely.
are your thoughts, your last closing thoughts that you want for parents to know about their children and their teens and what they're going through and how important it is to be with them and not against them?
Well, as a teenager, you're going to try and figure out what kind of adult you're going to be, or you're trying to find yourself, especially me. But that doesn't mean I'm downplaying other kids, but a lot of kids, just like me, are going to find what they're interested in, what makes them happy, And I really don't care what makes you happy. As long as you're being safe and other people, you're not hurting yourself or other people, go ahead and do whatever you want. But it gets on my freaking nerves when people try to make them feel bad or demonize them for that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can, like, okay, your opinion might be pretty weird, but you're not hurting anybody, so I'm not gonna hurt you. Like, don't hurt somebody if they're not hurting you. That makes no sense. I will call that verbal assault.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
it is. It's verbal assault on that person's mental and emotional safety. It is absolutely verbal assault. What would you give advice, or what advice would you give to parents on connecting with their teenagers? What works for you?
I think understanding where their kids are going or coming from and not just trying to push them into the person that they want them to be. Like, if a kid wants to wear this, don't be like, I'm going to put you out of the house if you wear that. Or, you don't want to, a girl like you shouldn't be wearing that. You should be wearing this. Like, just because I'm a girl doesn't mean I always have to wear ridiculous ruffles and look like I'm a Barbie doll all the time. What if I want to wear something that might look maybe a little bit more boyish, maybe something with a dragon on it?
Mm-hmm.
Because there are some things that some really girly girls might not find girly. Like, I really like superpowers and dragons and fantasy. I've made up this crazy fantasy world of like people with superpowers and of mythical creatures living in modern times.
She's writing a book, y'all.
I was going to say, so when are we going to see this?
Miss,
Like,
and she read some of her book to us the other day, me and her dad, and we was just in here like in tears. Like I actually started crying, and she
girl,
was
because
like,
I'm going to need a screenplay because you know
"Hey,"
that's what's making money out here
I
nowadays.
started real crying because for those of you that know me, I love to write, and it was just really satisfying to see a part of me in my baby, and it was just like, and it's so well written. So it's coming, y'all. She is just a very talented young woman, young lady, and I am so uber proud of you. If I don't say it enough, I'm so proud of you. So, artistic wise, this young lady is about to make a stamp on the world. She draws, she sculpts, she paints, she does
I'm
cartoons
working on animation too.
and animation. She does graphic art. I mean, she's just absolutely talented. And so I just wanted to just uplift you in that. Is there any other closing thoughts that you have for parents about what works for you and what might work for them with their teens?
Well, really quick, somebody else said something else.
Okay, I'll look at that. Look, she's paying better attention to these comments than me. All right.
So
Well, let's.
when does your show start?
I
Okay.
know. Well, we are hoping to launch really soon Black Girl Out the Box. I
I
had
love
talked
it.
about it before because I have a Black girl that loves being Black. And one of the things that she has struggled with is much of people saying that's not Black enough. And so she wants people to know that Black girls are interested in all types of things. They speak all types of ways, and we don't all fit in this box. So be looking out for her own YouTube stuff, Black Girl Out the Box, soon.
That's epic.
And she'll be having more conversations like this on there. She'll be doing more stuff with just talking about things she enjoy as the Black girl that loves a lot of stuff that may be quirky. Her mom's a nerd, so she kind of got her nerdish ways from me, but that's
Get it
okay.
honest.
Yeah, so definitely be looking for that. And so I'm going to answer this question. It's from Uncle Gino, and he said, it's it ain't just a Black thing. Our whole society encourages boys to be boys. You
Mm-hmm.
know what you mean. And here's another challenge. Most women want a man with experience. So how can we have both? That is a good point. So experience doesn't always mean quantity.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it just means quality. Sometimes it just means that you had one partner, but you experienced a lot in that one partner where you learned about how to take care or provide for someone else, whether that's physically, emotionally, or mentally or spiritually. So I think that when it comes to that, just because someone may have not had a bunch of folks doesn't mean anything, or they don't have experience. Like you can have one job, right? And learn 10 things under that one job, that one company. And then you can have somebody that went to 10 different companies and didn't learn anything at all,
Nothing.
didn't learn nothing.
I will
So
also say, going back to communication, because everybody is different. So experience, you really want to experience the partner that you're with. So you want to have communication with them, knowing what they like, what they don't like, and what they want, because you can learn a lot just by talking. And that's something that in a lot of different situations men don't do with their partners. Communicate and learn that person that you're with, because everybody is different.
it's facts. It's facts. Well, I am proud. And I think that we learned a lot from this
Absolutely.
amazing young lady today.
Absolutely.
Can we
You're
clap it
having a
up
great
for Miss Mariah? Great job. I am so proud of her.
You think we
And
can do this again?
I would love it if you. We
Yeah.
might have another co-host that might have some stuff to say about some of these other generational curses. You are absolutely
Yes.
welcome back anytime that you
You
want.
killed it, girl. You dropped Mike a couple times.
Look, wait, I need a microphone so you can just
I
drop.
got
So
a
you can
remote.
drop the
You know
mic. Look,
what I'm
yes,
saying?
yes.
Did that.
I am
Yeah.
so proud of you, and thank you so much for holding us adults accountable,
Yes.
letting us know how we need to be better for you guys, because sometimes we forget that. We forget that we need to be better for our teenagers, our kids, and for others around us. We do not have it all together. We are not perfect. We don't get it all figured out. And thank you for holding us accountable for that. And thank you for sharing your thoughts today. And
Yeah.
I
Thank
am
you for being
so,
transparent. Your
I
transparency
mean,
was beautiful. And you
so
did it so
transparent.
articulately. She
I
said
mean,
what she said.
she period. Okay,
Period.
period, sis. Period. So we
Exclamation mark. Skip a period.
look.
She said what
She
she said.
definitely said what she said. I want to thank all of you for hanging in there with us tonight on this wonderful Wednesday. Remember, we gonna talk is back bi-weekly, so we will be back. And I'm almost feeling like we need to have a follow-up conversation and maybe also get some other teenagers on here to kind of add to this
Wait, Mariah,
conversation.
amen that. She amen
You
it.
know, she is that do that. So perhaps next show in 2 weeks will be about having a roundtable of teenagers. So if you have a teenager that would feel comfortable coming on the show and talking about some of these important things and holding us accountable, because when we're talking about generational curses, it really starts with breaking them with us. And so we
Yep.
absolutely need to hold ourselves accountable. If we know better, we need to do better, and we need to make sure that we're leaving a better world for our kids. I really love that you brought that point up. I think that's super important, that as adults, we're not thinking about what we're leaving our kids to deal with and to live in. And so thank you for bringing that point up. Thank y'all for staying with us and for listening. Sis, what are your closing thoughts before we end?
What she said. Now,
Ditto,
Mariah,
right?
you killed it, sis. Like you were spot on, and thank you for all of the things that you said, because it is so important that we listen to you all, that we communicate with you all, that we are open with you all, that we see you. More importantly, not more importantly, but to start, I think this is the starting point for the communication and listening and all the other things. We have to see you. We have to see all of our young people for who they are, differences and all, like you mentioned. And once we really move all of our wants and all of our needs and all of our expectations and everything else out of the way, and really see the young people we're blessed to have in our lives, then at that point we can truly start opening up and the communication can flow. And we know that you all, or at least we should know, that you all have so many different stressors. And with that, all the stressors you have to go through, we have to respect that. And so I respect you wholeheartedly, Queen. You said what you said, so ditto.
She definitely said what she said. And you see her dad is over in the comments. This is his little
He a
princess.
proud papa. I know he a
And
proud
she
papa.
had that man wrapped around his finger, her fingers. Since the moment she was born. Absolutely. So I'm
That's
sure
because he
he's.
saw all this greatness in
I
advance.
mean, he in there geeking. I'm sure he gonna run in here once we off air. But closing thoughts for me is just do better, parents.
Yes, we need to do
Parents,
better.
anybody.
I've been corrected. Do better, everybody, because we're
Everyone.
all part of the community and the village. Make sure that we're uplifting our teens, that we're not excluding our teens, that we're not belittling them. We are creating the folks that we're going to be sending out into the world. And to her point, we need to make a better world for them. That is one of our duties. That's one of our obligations as parents. We talk a lot about financial legacy, but how about spiritual and mental and emotional legacy? How about safety legacy? How about broaden horizons legacy? How about we just leaving a brighter tomorrow for our kids? Because as it stands, they don't have a whole lot to look forward to. And so we really need to think about that, and we need to do better and make a
Oh,
better
can I say something to the teens, to
go
the
ahead.
young people of the world? Um, though the adults that may be in your lives are not perfect, because ain't none of us say ain't nobody on this planet perfect. Some a little more non-perfect than others, but understand that no matter what happens around you or to you, you create your own future. You dictate your future. You determine what you want to do. And so when you see the things that you have so much access to that you may not want access to, politically and otherwise, you have the wherewithal, the audacity, and every other word we can think of to change it, because you are the future. And one day we won't be here, and you will. What kind of world do you want to live in? And you don't have to wait till you 40, 50, 60 years old to do it. You can
Change it.
start right now today. You can create change on a small or a large scale right now today. And you can do that in your personal life. You can do it politically or any other way you choose to do it. That's up to you. But know that you dictate your future.
All facts. All facts. Thank you for those closing notes, sis. Be looking out for our follow up show in 2 weeks. We'll try and get a roundtable with teens. And then I think we need to keep the momentum going because we don't center our young folks enough. So if you have a young adult that you think will be interested in coming on and talking about ways that we can break generational curses moving forward, be looking out for that also. So thank
Them
y'all
some
for
different stresses. Young adults, that's when paying bills
I
come
mean,
in.
but we gotta address
Them
it at
some
all
different stresses.
levels.
But they
It's a
right, that's what I'm
different,
saying. Because them
you know,
different.
because I went through some things in college,
When
okay?
you had to
And
pay bills for the first time, you couldn't be like,
look,
hey mama, let me hold some.
when I had to buy, it was for me. It was when I had to buy my own toilet paper. Don't judge me, but
Oh,
I
the
was like, oh
toothpaste,
dang,
the
I knew how to buy my
deodorant.
own
Okay.
tissue.
The
You
things
know,
you
it
didn't
is a
even
little
know was
different.
supposed to be on the shopping list because they was just always there.
It just, it just hits different. It just hits different. Thank y'all for hanging with us. See you again in
Oh,
two
real
weeks.
quick.
Oh wait,
Wait,
yes,
oh,
go ahead.
oh, real quick. I'm sorry. Y'all can leave after this. First off, thinking right. Second off, on the 17th, we're going to have a Healing Through Acting workshop, y'all. Healing Through Acting, Melanated America, and the Healing Academy. We're going to do a Healing Through Acting. This one in particular is 18 and up for women only. But we are actually doing a youth class as well as we're going to do one for the men too. So it'll be a series ongoing, but it's a 1 day workshop. And it's time for us to talk about it. Not only talk about
Yes.
it, but write it down. So we'll be doing monologue writing. We'll actually be learning acting techniques, and we'll be performing, having conversation circles and techniques to cope and deal with the stress and the trauma and center yourself after coming out of a traumatic place, and how we can do that too. So y'all, we gonna heal through acting. So I just wanted to throw that out there. It's on my page. I'll share it to the Oh We Gonna Talk group as well. If y'all not in the Oh We Gonna Talk group, get in there.
Get in there. It is public. It's free. It's free. It's public. It's open for you to get in there. Sometimes we post food for thought until the next show. Be looking out for more stuff from Oh We Gonna Talk. A girl is over there huffing and puffing. She's trying to get some things, some big things going, y'all. So y'all just keep rocking with me. It's all coming. And we love you all. Good night, y'all.